What's up guys, Joey here of Tech, and today Samsung just launched the new Galaxy S10 series of smartphones. You already know what it is, you've read the title. This is gonna be our comparison review of the Samsung Galaxy S10 and last year's Google Pixel 3. So to set up the stage, here are the specs of each phone. Feel free to pause the video right here if you want to read everything. Now right off the bat, there are a lot of ways the S10 is better than the Pixel 3. The battlefield for this comparison is definitely going to be the cameras, probably design, battery, and some others. But to make this neat and organized, let's go through all the categories one by one. Starting with design. Both in terms of form and function, the S10 is definitely the flashier device. We got the hole punch screen that gives an almost bezel-less look, the curved edges, the in-display fingerprint scanner, micro SD card slot, and even a headphone jack. The Pixel 3 on the other hand can be described as almost Spartan. No notch, we still get top and bottom bezels, we get a rear-mounted fingerprint scanner, a single rear camera, and we lack a micro SD card slot and headphone jack. Both devices are still premium however. We get metal frames and glass backs that allow wireless charging, though the S10's wireless charging is two-way. Both are also tough against the elements with an IP68 rating. Design, of course, is a subjective matter, especially with regards to aesthetics. But the S10's design caters to both aesthetics as well as functionality, which is why I'm gonna give the win to the S10 over the Pixel 3. The S10 is also a bigger phone than the Pixel 3, which also means it has a bigger display. It comes in at 6.1 inches, while the Pixel 3's display comes in at 5.5 inches. Panel types, resolutions, and aspect ratios also differ. The S10 has a Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 3040 by 1440, which makes for an aspect ratio of 19 by 9. The Pixel 3 on the other hand has a flexible OLED display with a resolution of 2160 by 1080 or an aspect ratio of 18 by 9. While you don't have to worry about notches or holes with the Pixel 3's display, the S10's display wins hands down. It's bigger, it's sharper, it offers a better viewing experience overall. Color and contrast are about the same for both phones, but the S10 can get way brighter. It also has the added cherry on top in the form of HDR10 Plus support, though available content is limited for that standard. For speakers, it's a close battle. The S10 uses a down-firing loudspeaker and its earpiece to create a stereo setup, while the Pixel 3 has dual front-facing speakers. Both can get loud, but at higher volumes, the S10 is able to bring more clarity. The soundstage is impressive for a smartphone, and as much as I wish its speakers were front-facing like the Pixel 3, it just takes the cake. And mind you, that's with the Dolby Atmos setting turned off. When you turn it on, you get a way more dynamic sound. Sounds feel like they're coming from more than one source. And for the music purists, let's not forget that the S10 has a headphone jack. Powering the S10 is a Snapdragon 855 or Exynos 9820, depending on your region. 8GB of RAM, and 128GB of storage. For the Pixel 3, it's got a Snapdragon 845, 4GB of RAM, and 64 or 128GB of storage. It's clear which one of them wins in this category. Aside from having a newer chipset, the S10 has double the amount of RAM and just as much storage as the Pixel 3's more expensive variant. You can also expand that storage further by up to 512GB via microSD card, which the Pixel 3 simply cannot do. Still, the Snapdragon 845 and 4GB of RAM is still a great hardware setup for a phone and would be enough for most people. The S10 definitely still has more raw performance, but either way, the most demanding tasks will be easily handled by both phones. For biometric security, it's a little more complex than that. While the S10 provides more options with a fingerprint scanner and face unlock, I feel that the Pixel 3's rear-mounted fingerprint scanner is a lot faster than the S10's under-display fingerprint scanner. Sure, it's a cool bit of technology with an ultrasonic sensor that creates a 3D imprint of your actual fingerprint, but when it comes to speed, a traditional fingerprint scanner, like the one on the Pixel 3, is a lot faster. However, the S10's face unlock is both fast and secure, and the fact that it has face unlock at all already gives it an edge against the Pixel 3. So for biometric security, I'm gonna give the win to Samsung. Now, battery. The S10 holds another advantage here with a bigger 3400 mAh battery compared to the Pixel 3's 2915 mAh. But considering the bigger screen, higher screen resolution, and more components, the S10 S10's battery life may take a hit from this. But when it comes to charging, especially wireless charging, the S10 is ahead in terms of raw technology. Aside from supporting fast wireless charging, under the glass it also has its own wireless charging pad that allows it to charge other phones and wearables that support wireless charging. For software, both phones right now are running Android Pie. The Pixel 3 of course gets the stock vanilla version, while the S10 is skinned with Samsung's new One UI. So it boils down to personal preference for things like software, especially because of the look of the UI. But One UI provides cool additional features like system-wide dark mode, natural interactions, as well as things like Samsung Pay, Samsung Pass, Bixby if you're into that, and others. For software updates though, you can never go wrong with the Pixel. Sure, there are times where you feel like you're constantly in beta, but it sure beats Samsung's slow update process, which I hope will get better as we move forward. Now comes the real battle, the one that's probably on your mind right now. Can the S10's photography chops step up and go against the Pixel 3? So let's take a look at the spec sheet first. For the Pixel 3, it's a single 12.2 megapixel wide rear camera and two 8 megapixel front cameras, one of them being wide angle. For the S10, we got three rear cameras, a 12 megapixel wide angle with variable aperture, 12 megapixel telephoto, and 16 megapixel ultra wide. And for selfies, it is a single 10 megapixel camera. In terms of hardware, Samsung is really all out here. A total of 4 cameras for the S10, with one of them even having variable aperture. And yes, when you need them, you have the ultra-wide and telephoto cameras. For Google, it's always been about the software, which is why until now, 3 generations of the Pixel in, and we still only have 1 rear camera. So in this comparison, we're going to be comparing overall quality so that the playing field is even for both phones. This means, if you want or need the telephoto or ultra-wide angle cameras, then you're really gonna have to go for the S10. But if you're curious if Samsung's camera software can stand up to Google's, then here it is. Taking a look at these two shots, it's apparent that the S10's tones tend to lean towards the cool side, but not too much. It has a more dynamic, slightly more saturated shot, while the Pixel 3 has a more natural look that preserves true-to-life colors. Also, if we zoom way into the farthest buildings, we can see that the Pixel 3 was able to preserve more detail. With this set of shots, we wanted to test out the phone's high dynamic range a little bit. And in this regard, it seems that the S10 was able to preserve more details in the highlights and the shadows. Though the banding on the curtain above is a lot more apparent, and if you compare the buildings in the background, the S10s look weirdly washed out while the Pixel 3 gets more accurate color and contrast out of them. Now moving on to these shots taken close to sunset, it's easy to appreciate the supernatural, pleasing look from the S10's shot, until we remember the context. These were taken around 6 p.m. in Manila, which is when the sun is almost completely down this time of the year, and the Pixel 3 captures this perfectly. I guess this is a good example of how much more aggressive the S10's scene detection AI is. Now let's change up our scene a little bit to indoor artificial lighting. The S10 seems to be doing a better job this time. It has slightly more detail, more accurate colors, and an overall brighter quality to its image. Now for a big one. Let's check out how both phones' rear cameras shoot people. These are also taken with portrait mode. Right off the bat, I can say that I like how the Pixel 3 captures AJ's natural skin tone a lot better, and we also get more balanced exposure. With the S10, it's a tad too bright, which may be affecting the way her skin and shirt are captured. Also, the Pixel 3's background blur looks a little bit more natural, and also did a great job of separating it from the subject, especially around the hair. Now moving on to the front cameras, looking at this set, both phones have their own merits. On one hand, our subject's face is brighter in the S10's shot, but the Pixel 3 provides, again, more natural color, especially in the skin tone. Same thing is apparent in this next set of selfies, though take a look at the hair. The S10 gives a lot more detail and just overall has a more appealing shot. So, to sum up the cameras, I'll say this. Samsung's camera hardware for the S10 series is amazing. You get a ton of options and it provides amazing quality. But on the other end of the scale, I don't think their software is up to par with Google's just yet. I still prefer how the Pixel processes its images, but hey, that's not to say the S10's cameras are bad. After all, don't forget, the Pixel 3 doesn't have a telephoto or ultra-wide camera at all. Now, let's sum things up, shall we? Design, arguably S10. Display and multimedia, definitely S10. Performance, storage, S10. Battery and charging, S10. Camera, I'm gonna stick to my guns here and give it to the Pixel 3. So it's almost a landslide here, but there is still a reason to get the Pixel 3 over the S10, and yes, that's the camera. For the rest of the things, it just boils down to personal preference and of course, pricing. So what about you guys? Samsung Galaxy S10 or Google Pixel 3? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, please do hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel for more content, hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads, and be sure to visit yugatech.com for the latest tech news and reviews. Again, this has been Joey, and I'll see you guys in the next one.